Welcome to Mindful Moments, Nourish Your Mind on the Go.
Yeah.
This video uses AI narration to present our original book analysis. Today, we're diving deep into Think Again by Adam Grant. He's urging us to embrace the power of rethinking, especially in our ever-changing world. What's in it for you? Well, the potential to become more adaptable, make better decisions, and understand different perspectives.
Yeah, Think Again really emphasizes how our thinking can become stagnant. Grant calls humans mental misers, clinging to old views simply because it's easier than challenging them. It's like we'd rather be comfortably wrong than uncomfortably reevaluate what we think we know.
It's so true. We update our phones and wardrobes, but hold on to outdated beliefs. He calls it seizing and freezing. But to really drive this point home, Grant shares a powerful story about the Man Gulch wildfire. So these smoke jumpers are battling this intense blaze, and if the fire rapidly approaches, their instinct is to run uphill to escape.
Right.
But one smoke jumper, Wagner Dodge, does something completely unexpected. He sets a fire.
What's fascinating is that Dodge understood that the conventional escape route wouldn't work. He created his own escape route by burning an area ahead of him, giving himself a safe zone. Sadly, the other smoke jumpers perished, clinging to their ingrained responses. It's a tragic example of how our automatic reactions, especially under stress, can be detrimental.
Wow. Dodge's story perfectly illustrates why rethinking is so crucial, even when the pressure is on. Speaking of pressure, Grant introduces the Dunning-Kruger effect, which explains why incompetent people often fail to recognize their own incompetence. They're stuck on what he calls Mount Stupid, where little knowledge leads to inflated confidence without the expertise to question their opinions.
Right. He uses a study simulating a zombie apocalypse to illustrate this. Participants' confidence soared with each round, even when their actual competence didn't improve. It highlights the danger of assuming we know more than we do and underscores the need for what Grant calls confident humility.
Confident humility. I love that term. It's about having faith in your abilities, but acknowledging you might not have all the answers. Could this be confused with imposter syndrome, that feeling of inadequacy despite success?
That's interesting. Grant actually reframes imposter syndrome as a potential strength. Doubt, when channeled effectively, can be a powerful motivator. He highlights how doubt can push us to work harder, encourage us to question assumptions, and open us up to learning from others.
So a healthy dose of doubt can fuel growth and achievement. That's interesting. Grant uses the example of Hala Tomasdottir, who felt like an imposter when she ran for president of Iceland despite her impressive background. But instead of letting that feeling cripple her, she used it to drive her to connect with voters authentically.
It's a fantastic example of turning a perceived weakness into a strength. And speaking of shifting perspectives, Grant argues that clinging to our opinions as part of our identity can hinder personal growth.
So how do we detach from our beliefs without losing our sense of self?
He suggests we shift our focus from opinions to values. Instead of rigidly clinging to, I believe this, we should embrace, I value this. Values like integrity or kindness act as guiding principles, allowing our opinions to evolve without threatening our core identity. As we encounter new information, our values can lead us to reconsider our opinions and make better decisions.
This resonates with me. It's about staying true to yourself while remaining open to new perspectives. But don't we also need input from others to help us see those new perspectives?
Absolutely. Grant highlights the importance of challenge networks, a group of trusted individuals who provide honest feedback and help us identify our blind spots. The key is that they don't just agree with us all the time. They're willing to push back and challenge our thinking.
So surrounding ourselves with yes people is actually detrimental to our growth.
Exactly. Grant uses Brad Bird, the director of The Incredibles, as an example. Bird intentionally assembled a team of misfits at Pixar because he knew they would challenge him and push him to create a better film.
And The Incredibles was a massive success. It's amazing how seeking out different perspectives and welcoming constructive criticism can lead to such positive outcomes. But even with these challenge networks, knowing how to navigate those potentially difficult conversations is key, Riad.
You're absolutely right. It's about more than just having the right people around you. It's about engaging those conversations effectively. And that's where motivational interviewing comes in.
Motivational interviewing, isn't that a therapeutic technique?
It is, but Grant argues that it can be incredibly helpful in everyday conversations. It's about guiding someone towards change, not by lecturing or arguing, but by helping them explore their own motivations and reasons for wanting to change.
So it's about asking the right questions and listening.
Precisely. A skilled motivational interviewer doesn't preach. They listen empathetically, ask open-ended questions, and help the other person connect their values to their actions. Grant shares the story of Arnaud, who was worried about his partner's hesitancy to vaccinate their child. Instead of arguing, he listened, asked her to explain her reasoning, and this opened up a much more productive conversation.
It's fascinating how powerful simply listening can be, especially when disagreements arise. It can de-escalate a situation and create space for genuine understanding. But sometimes it feels like we're stuck in this trap of oversimplifying complex issues, reducing everything to two opposing sides.
That's what Grant calls binary bias, and it can be incredibly detrimental to productive dialogue. Think about the current debates around climate change. It's often portrayed as believers versus deniers, but Grant points out that there are at least 6 camps of thought on the issue, each with its own nuances.
Reducing such a complex issue to just two sides limits our understanding and hinders our ability to find common ground. How do we break free from this binary bias?
Well, Grant suggests recognizing the spectrum of perspectives on any given issue, highlighting the complexities and contingencies, and embracing nuance. For example, instead of saying diversity is essential for success, we can reframe it as diversity is essential for success, but it isn't easy. This acknowledges the challenges while still emphasizing the importance of the goal.
It's about moving beyond simplistic labels and acknowledging the shades of gray in most situations. And as consumers of information, we should be more discerning about the sources we rely on, actively seeking out content that presents multiple viewpoints.
Absolutely. Don't just settle for headlines or sound bites. Dig deeper and expose yourself to a range of perspectives. This idea of rethinking also extends to the realm of education. Grant criticizes the traditional lecture format, arguing that it often encourages passive absorption of information instead of active engagement and questioning.
He suggests that we should be moving towards more active learning approaches that encourage students to experiment, debate, and revise their thinking. He gives the example of a history teacher, Aaron, who deliberately uses outdated textbooks to demonstrate how historical narratives evolve over time.
It's a brilliant way to foster critical thinking skills. Instead of simply memorizing facts, students are encouraged to analyze how interpretations of history change as new evidence emerges. This encourages them to question, is there more to this story?
That's powerful. And he also discusses Ron Berger, an elementary school teacher who created a culture of critique in his classroom. Instead of just praising each other's work, students provide constructive criticism to help each other improve. They're learning to question, refine, and iterate essential skills for lifelong learning.
It's about fostering a mindset where feedback is seen as a gift, not a threat. This leads to continuous improvement and a deeper understanding of the material. But this concept of continuous improvement goes beyond the classroom. Grant emphasizes the importance of process accountability. It's not just about evaluating the outcome of a decision, but analyzing the process that led to it.
He uses a chilling example from NASA, where a near-fatal spacewalk incident occurred because a minor issue was repeatedly overlooked. The focus on successful outcomes had led to complacency, preventing a deeper analysis of potential problems.
It's a reminder that even brilliant people can become blind to potential risks if they only focus on results. Grant suggests creating a culture of psychological safety where individuals feel comfortable speaking up about potential problems even when things seem to be working fine.
He even had the leadership team at the Gates Foundation read critical comments from staff surveys aloud on camera. It's a bold move, but it demonstrates humility and a willingness to learn and grow even at the highest levels.
That vulnerability is key. It signals that it's okay to question and challenge even those in positions of authority. Ultimately, it's about cultivating an environment where learning from mistakes is encouraged, not punished. Grant also challenges us to rethink our life plans, arguing that rigid long-term plans can sometimes prevent us from discovering more fulfilling paths.
He encourages us to view careers as actions, not identities, emphasizing the importance of fluidity and adaptability. Instead of being trapped by a fixed identity, we can explore different roles and find work that aligns with our evolving values and interests.
He shares the story of a college student who was unhappy with her experience. Instead of transferring, she decided to create a micro-community within her existing college, connecting with classmates who shared her passions. It illustrates that sometimes fulfillment can be found by rethinking our actions within our current circumstances rather than trying to escape them.
That's a great example of taking ownership of your experience and finding creative solutions. And this idea of rethinking happiness is particularly relevant today. Grant suggests that we shouldn't chase happiness as an end goal, but focus on pursuing meaning and purpose.
Happiness can be fleeting, but meaning provides a deeper sense of fulfillment and can sustain us through challenging times. Grant encourages us to embrace a fluid approach to life plans, to course correct when things aren't working, and prioritize contribution and meaning over the pursuit of fleeting happiness.
He even compares creating a life plan to driving at night in the fog. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can still make the whole trip that way.
It's a perfect analogy. We don't need to have everything figured out all at once. We can adapt and adjust our plans as we gain new experiences and insights. And that's the beauty of Think Again. It's about embracing uncertainty, being open to new information, and being willing to change our minds.
It's about recognizing that our thinking isn't fixed, that we can evolve and adapt as we learn and grow, and that evolution can extend to our careers. Grant encourages us to think of our careers as a series of experiments, not a fixed path. Try different things, see what works, and be open to changing direction if something isn't fulfilling you anymore.
Right. He also talks about job crafting, finding ways to make your existing job more meaningful. Even if you can't change careers entirely, you can often adjust your daily tasks or focus on different aspects of your work to align it better with your values and interests.
He gives a compelling example of Candace Walker, a hospital worker who went above and beyond her job description to create a more positive and supportive environment for patients undergoing chemotherapy. She transformed a sterile treatment center into what she called the House of Hope.
It's a beautiful illustration of how we can bring our values into our work, even in seemingly limited roles. We all have the power to shape our experiences, even within existing structures.
Candace's story reminds us that rethinking isn't just about changing our minds. It's about actively changing our lives and our impact on the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's about constantly challenging our assumptions, seeking out new perspectives, and embracing the journey of being a lifelong learner. It's about having the courage to question not just what we think, but how we think.
Think Again by Adam Grant is an incredible resource for anyone looking to unlock their potential for growth and navigate our complex world with more open-mindedness and adaptability.
It really is. It's a call to action to become more thoughtful, more curious, and more willing to embrace the power of rethinking.
If you're ready to embark on this journey of intellectual growth, we highly recommend picking up a copy of Think Again. You'll find a link to purchase the book in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to Mindful Moments for more insightful book analyses like this one. We'll help you nourish your mind on the go.